Hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar session of Technology-Enabled Learning Community of Practice. I'm Sanjaya Mishra from the Commonwealth of Learning, and with my co-host and facilitator, Professor Mostafa Azad Kamal from Bangladesh, we have 4 distinguished guests who themselves are part of the TEL community of practice. This is a session we want to learn and from the experiences of our colleagues, and say we would like to learn from what they did, what worked, what was not working kind of stuffs, and what is the lessons that we can take forward. And therefore this will be more of a discussion rather than big presentations from any one of us today. And I have requested Professor Mostafa to take note of the comments and suggestions. I request all the participants to join us in asking questions that you would like to listen from our panelists today. Professor Mostafa will facilitate that in the process. We will take a little break in between and take into the questions. So keep typing your questions when things are going on. You can ask on the Q&A, or you can ask on ask on the chat box. With me today, we have Dr. Jayashree Shinde from India, SNDT Women's University. Dr. Jayashree, you can say hi to everyone.
Hello.
And we have Dr. Janet Rangou from Papua New Guinea, the University of Papua New Guinea. Professor Fong Fook from Malaysia, University Malaysia Sabah. And of course, Professor Ioana from Samoa, National University of Samoa. So she is also our focal point of Commonwealth of Learning. We are missing one more guest. I am trying to check with my guest, Dr. Silvance Abeka, and see how I can allow him to become, he is somewhere there. I'm promoting him to be a panelist. So I have done that. So I hope he will soon be visible on the system, and he is now visible on the system. Dr. Abeka, you can use your video if you want to keep it on, and you can say hi. Dr. Abeka is from Just in Kenya. So welcome to all of you to today's session. And I just give 2 minutes for Professor Mostafa to talk about the TEL community of practice before we go into the sessions.
Thanks, Dr. Sanjaya. So you know that this kind of initiative has been started a few months back. So this is the I think 7th webinar in this TEL community of practice. So in these webinars, we actually try to have an opportunity, create an opportunity for the partners and other university teachers and researchers so that they can develop something professional. So it is a great initiative taken by the Commonwealth of Learning, and you know in Commonwealth of Learning, so TEL got a wider initiative all over the world, and Dr. Sanjaya Mishra is leading this initiative, and I was attached to that to coordinate the sessions. So thank you very much for your cooperation. Always you were very much cooperative, and your contribution in the blogs, in the monthly profiles were highly appreciated. I think these things will continue for long, because this is the platform for all of us to promote this TEL initiative all over the world, especially in the Commonwealth. So I think if we are together, we can go far for sure. And this COVID crisis actually told us that we, I mean, under the leadership of Dr. Sanjaya Mishra, what we started, that worked. Maybe today, from your experience, so it will be validated in a very systematic way. So let us listen to all of you. So over to Dr. Sanjaya Mishra.
Thank you, Professor Mostafa, for that brief introduction. Our colleagues, we are really looking forward to listen to you, so we won't take much time. But what I would suggest, whenever we are asking a question, just because we have just 1 hour time and we have to also listen to our participants, try to make your brief intervention and comment so that we can listen to more questions from audience. We have a large number of gathering today. By the way, we have about 85 people with us today, and I must thank every one of them for this session. There are people from Bangladesh, India, Philippines, Uganda, and I have not seen all of them. So I request people to write their country so that we can take note of wherever they are. So we are really thankful to them. I just want to kickstart this, start with this question is that, no, for people who are doing technology-enabled learning, I think the COVID-19 situation that we came across recently is probably gave us some edge over others, those who were involved in technology-enabled learning. How was it in your personal experience in your own institutions? And if I just start with Dr. Jayashree first.
I think as soon as this COVID situation arose, apart from those who had already completed their academic year, all other teachers and even those who had completed teaching part for revision or for communication, they immediately started using communication tools, and that was truly speaking, this was surprising also and heartening because within the first 2 weeks, we started collecting data, what our teachers are doing. And more than 60 teachers immediately responded that they are using synchronous communication for connecting to teachers. And many were, we already had 15 teachers in Commonwealth of Learning initiative, the project initiated by Dr. Sanjaya Mishra. But apart from them, many others, 20 to 25 teachers started using Moodle LMS for supporting students, and they continued even during the lockdown. Some teachers started using Google Classroom, Edmodo, and other learning management systems. So all possible technologies teachers were using. Of course, our university is the first Southeast Asian women's university, and the students, all students, girl students may not have technology devices, but they were using WhatsApp, Telegram tools, also those who did not have any other laptop or desktop devices. So teachers were trying to communicate with them also.
Yeah, that's very interesting because many teachers were interested to do. I'll just go back to Dr. Abeka because I know Dr. Abeka's institutions was doing large number of webinars during this period. Dr. Abeka, how did things happen in your university?
Thank you, Dr. Mishra, for giving me this opportunity to be with my colleagues and also share my experience. In this COVID period, it came as a surprise to the entire country and more so to our university. Initially, we never envisaged that at one time, the education sector would be brought at a standstill, and the only way to open the education door was through technology. And I want to thank Sanjaya Mishra and more so Commonwealth of Learning for the support that they have given us, more so in implementation of technology-enabled learning. I want to inform you that when COVID hit our country, generally the entire country was not prepared for it. And for us as a university, we thank the Commonwealth of Learning because we had already started implementing technology-enabled learning. So the University Senate sat and agreed that we are now going online. We are going to use technology to support our learners remotely from wherever they are. So I got in touch with the Commonwealth of Learning. and community of practice, the TEL community of practice. I talked to Mostafa. We got facilitators to retool our lecturers on how to use technology in implementation of teaching and learning without any problem. So we've had series of webinars to retool and reskill our staff and even our students. And I'm happy to say that we completed our curriculum, and currently we are going to do examinations online without any problem. Thank you.
Excellent. Professor Ioana, would you like to share something about what happened and how did you react to that situation in National University of Samoa? And you can share something about your national situation as well, because I know you have been doing a lot of things in the countrywide.
Thank you, Sanjaya. Yes, we in Samoa share what Silvance has just said. We were very fortunate that the Commonwealth of Learning had, when the COVID and the lockdown hit, that we already had Moodle installed and we had the OER repository installed. So, and we've had training sessions and in Moodle. Although the issue at the time is that it was underutilized. So we had like 2 weeks to train all the staff to get into Moodle and upload all the courses. And I'm happy to say that right now, all our courses are now fully online. We've also conducted our quizzes online. We've just finished examinations. Most of the courses and now, they opted to just do the quizzes. Very few did examinations face to face, and we are fortunate to have, this opportunity to be able to see what online learning can do for the teachers. So now we are the other point that I'd like to point out is, as you said, Sanjaya, we are also part of a project, a national project, and this is how we're going to progress from now on, that we are going to use multimodal platforms, that we are going to use online, we're also going to use the radio and the TV, so it's going to be multimodal, and these will be national platforms, and then the university have been tasked to create these platforms. So we are very fortunate that we have been given the resources from from the Commonwealth of Learning and their associated partners to help us put through, for example, our lifelong learning platform, our digital library platform, and also the research repository. So yes, we're very excited in the fact that it did come as a blessing in disguise, having the COVID. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Professor. I'll quickly go to Dr. Janet. I know UPNG is a big university and very challenging situation. Dr. Janet, your quick remarks on what happened. How did your university reacted?
Thank you, Dr. Sanjaya. From the university space, I think I'm very thankful to Commonwealth of Learning for having started the TEL project. So we were at the stage of capacity building workshops when COVID came about. And like the other two speakers, I think COVID was a real blessing. We've had the policy in place. We were doing capacity building workshops. And then the implementation part of it was still lagging. But when COVID came, I just said to everyone, look, there's no time for cosmetics. We have to get through it. And we have got to be starting. So immediately the university jumped on the fact that TEL was already here and brought it to Senate and got all the schools to be on board, allowing for multimodal approach of TEL, but having the Moodle institutionalized was a big take for us. And now we are working on our DSpace, the open access repository. So that's the stage where we are up to. We are tweaking. We still need capacity building, and we need support to continue the the project, yeah, and also taking ownership of it in the long run, yeah.
Janet, I know that the School of Health Science at UPNG has done their own workshop for Moodle during this process for their staff. So that's something very interesting that there is the teachers who are taking initiative. I will now go quickly to Professor Fong, whose university is doing so many things during this time of COVID-19. Professor Fong, your quick remarks on what happened, how did you respond quickly before we go into the more lessons learned?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Sanjaya and dear friends, it is a difficult situation over here. The moment we were told about the lockdown, here we call it as the movement order, control order, immediately all face-to-face lectures and tutorials were disrupted, of course. And immediately we say that we will use a virtual environment, asynchronous and synchronous. So we immediately, because not everybody were practicing, you see, synchronous and asynchronous. So even though we have blended learning going on in a strong way, over 70% of our lecturers are in it, but there were some that were left out. So in order that all our students are not left out, we immediately prepare, some video clips, short video clips, make posters, and immediately send it out to all the lecturers so that immediately on they pick up the skill, okay, to use a Google Meet, for example, to conduct synchronous meeting. So it was an emergency, it was a crisis, and things moved very fast. Then we sent out a survey immediately, okay, to all the students concerning their whereabouts at the point in time. Because prior to that, a few days before that, many left the campus and went back into the villages in this state, Sabah. So now we sent out surveys and there are 17,000 students over here. And the response that we received was 5,000. So we were wondering, hey, our lecturers are sending out, conducting lessons, but is it reaching out to our students? So we find that out of 17,000, more than 10,000 are actually not able to access. So there was an issue of connectivity, especially in this state, of Sabah in Malaysia. So some, they want to have access, they got to climb up the mountain. Some of them got to climb up the trees, to receive that connectivity. And of course, the bandwidth issue. So suddenly, the Ministry of Education also realized this problem and put a halt to all teaching. Face-to-face and online teaching must stop because they do not want anyone to be left behind. It's not fair. Okay, so that was our situation at one point in time. And then at another point in time, the ministry also then reissue another memo and says that please implement as long as somehow you can reach out to your students. So I think I share with you here. Okay, right now itself, the students, we are practicing online, synchronous and asynchronous, whether we using Telegram or whether using WhatsApp or phone or hand delivery, we are practicing it right now. Okay, thank you.
And in the process, we also did a series of workshops for your staff, and about 76 people got trained on designing and delivering of massive open online courses in the process. So
yeah,
that was one
wonderful.
of the things that we accomplished together with University of Malaysia, Sabah. But quickly, I think this is what the situation is, that the activities that were going on in your institution enabled you to respond to the situation very quickly. There were some interest already there, but it enabled quickly to respond, and sometimes the response was more than expected, and that's what I understand. Quickly, I would request now, just if you are asked to say that what are the one or two key lessons learned in this process that we can take it forward. Before I actually ask the audience, we'll go to the audience after this. I'll have a quick round from lessons that you learned that we can take it forward. One or two that you would like to start. Anybody who would like to start? Dr. Jayashree, you want to go? Or you want to show something that you experienced with your learners, anything?
Okay, fine. The first lesson learned is if you are already prepared with technology for communication, technology not for the sake of technology, but for communicating with the students, then it becomes easier. Even if students are ready with many technology tools, at least some tech savviness is there in students, then they also can cope up with the situation. That is the lesson which we learned. Even our students participated, all SNDT Women's University groups, nursing department, for example, they participated in many COVID related activities. Our students, these are some collaborative activities which our students do. They write blogs. This is some brainstorming sessions of students. As I mentioned, I'm just simultaneously showing some screenshots of our students' work. This is video. These are videos which instead of presentation, online presentation or PowerPoint, they created videos of their presentation. Recently, our students also created videos on Orissa Maharashtra collaboration. So they are using technology, teachers are using technology, and that is the lesson that if we are ready with this technology enabled learning environment, the ethos, then it becomes easier in case of such pandemic situation where communication is open. We are ready with the communication tools and we are ready for collaborating. We are ready to even continuously be in touch with our students in such pandemic, and even with teachers, because SNDT University teachers say that we are meeting almost every day through meetings, webinars. So even recently we completed one training program with non-teaching administrative staff of the university. So they also felt that they are in touch and they all are with us, though we are at distances. So I think that is the one lesson.
Dr. Abeka, you have raised your hand. You can share your one or two quick lessons that you have learned in this process.
Thank you very much. One lesson that we've learned as a university and more so as a country in Kenya is that technology has taken the globe with a storm. And in the education sector, it is the only way that can open doors to teaching and learning in any case there's any problem. Second, one of the lessons that we've realized that organization support in implementation of technology-enabled learning is very crucial. For our case in our university, the top university management supported fully the implementation of technology-enabled learning, and therefore we found it very easy in terms of its implementation. However, another lesson that we've also learned, which is very important, is attitude. And in terms of implementation of teaching and learning online or remote support to our students online, attitudinal change among the staff, the instructors, and also among the students is also a key to successful implementation of teaching and learning. So those are some of the few lessons that we learned as a university and more so as a country. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Janet, would you go next? Your mic.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjaya. Lessons learned from the University of Papua New Guinea. First of all, I think I should say the value of preparedness that because this technology-enabled learning was already an agenda, but the preparedness of people when COVID came didn't give any chance for anyone, whether you were prepared or not. You just had to get on with it. So I see that as something that has to be taken seriously. If we have to embrace technology, we must always prepare. Capacity building is a running thing that was an outcry. Some of us, they looked at us as being the champions. We were not even the champions, but we were trying to be. But the good thing about this is that when TEL came about and we trained our 39 to 40 people, they became our TEL champions. And they were the ones that we used to roll out as trailblazers. They went out trying to promote the ideals of technology-enabled learning. And also, another lesson on to that is that I began to see competition in which I didn't want, but you can't help it because people were trying to promote Google Classroom, some were trying to promote the social media apps and all that. And I said, okay, whatever that works for now, let's get on with it as long as our students are being engaged and we keep them informed. Because the university said, look, we are not going to be locked down forever. We need to be engaging in another platform. Yes, thank you so much. Yes.
Necessity is the mother of innovation. Professor Ioana, some lessons that you learned in the process.
Thank you, Sanjaya. I think most of the things have been covered by our colleagues. But I think the other thing that really comes to mind for me is the need is access. For us to be able to reach students, because not everyone will be able to access online. So this is why we're going for multimodal, that we're providing, trying to provide lessons via not just online, but also offline, using the radio, using TV, so that we have a range of technologies for whatever the student can access. So to me, that's very important. The other thing that was very important to us is providing enough student support for student engagement. We were quite worried that, we were sending out the lessons, but we had to ensure that the students were actually being engaged and no one being left behind. I think that those are the two things.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Ioana. I'll go now to Professor Fong, and I think Professor Fong, do you have any slide or anything you want to show? some lessons learned? Yes.
Okay, so now as I was saying, these were actually the posters that immediately we prepared for our lecturers so that they can immediately go into synchronous or asynchronous. And video clips were all prepared actually for them. It's clickable. We did a survey and we found that actually the people who responded, okay, until now it becomes 6,000. So even those who responded, so few, there were certain people who don't have any access at all. So among the lecturers, there were a lot of concern. So we begin to conduct webinars, okay, to meet the need of the lecturers. And for example, this one concerning, how do we do assessment online? So immediately we conduct it, and the response was overwhelming. So for example, when we use a Google Meet, the maximum go to 250, so it overflow, okay? So the lessons learned is that when the need arises, somehow academics would respond, okay, they would respond. So there were a lot of concern. So we also have our in-house TL webinar. Okay, so Professor Rashid, our TNCA, and we have an open discussion concerning what are the challenges now, what are the opportunities, what are the constraints, and what are the technologies that we can do and use right now itself in this particular situation. So again, the response was overwhelming, it exceeded the numbers. So we also use live Facebook and so on. Okay. And in the midst of it, we have this, it was supposed to be only 30, we wanted to produce 30 Mooc for this year. And we made an arrangement with Commonwealth of Learning, and Dr. Sanjaya was supposed to come over actually to Malaysia, Sabah. But due to this, there was a blessing in disguise. Okay, he couldn't come in here, so we did it online. And because it is online, he's able now to invite more speakers, more collaborators, more experts. At the same time, we open it to the faculties. And due to this, there were over 200 that registered. Okay, but finally, those that went through it was over 120 of them. And out of the 120, over 70 received badges and certificate, which means that they completed all the activities as required by Dr. Sanjaya. So this is wonderful. It was a blessing because now we have 70 lecturers that has been so-called trained, okay, and upskilled to produce quality Mooc. So in a way, lessons learned, there have been some good that turned out actually of this crisis. Dr. Sanjaya. Another one that maybe I can share is this. Sorry.
I just stopped the sharing from your thing. So
Okay.
At this stage, colleagues, we will take comments and questions from our esteemed participants. I have today with us Dr. Jahid Majid from Allama Iqbal Open University, and they are doing some interesting work in Pakistan. And I would like to give request him to say a few words in 1 or 2 minutes so that we listen to him, and then we'll take the comments and questions on the that has come. And Dr. And also there are a couple of other people who have raised hand. We will listen to them, and then we'll take those comments and questions. We have a lot many, so I will leave it to your experience to respond to our participants today. So now I'm requesting Dr. Majid to speak, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good morning from Islamabad, Pakistan. This is a good opportunity to share our experience with each other, and this will provide opportunity to everyone to learn the things that's working in this pandemic situation. Allama Iqbal Open University, one of the major, is the only public sector university in Pakistan, and it's a big stakeholder of open distance learning in the world of open distance. We have about 1.4 million students in different programs. And I believe this pandemic is blessing for Allama Iqbal Open University. We pray that this pandemic go very soon, but this is blessing for us that we struggle to convert our programs for last 20 years on e-learning or online program mode. But as we are talking about the seriousness, attitudinal change, and other things, I don't think that we have the financial problem. We have the experts, we have the financial matters. So in these 3 months, we converted our all postgraduate programs. More than 200,000 students now are using our own modified learning management system with big blue button that they can use text, chat, and video together. I'm teaching to my PhD students. I connected many professors from different parts of the country. They very willingly teach my students. So this is what we are doing in Pakistan. The recent developments that in collaboration with Ministry of Education, we launched our television channel that called the Tele School that work from 8 o'clock morning up to 6 o'clock that cater different level of classes, grade 1 to 12. So millions of students are stuck at home because of close of the schools. They are using this alternate mode of education. Their parents are praising the initiative for this Tele School, and we are connecting all the higher education on this television channel that not only the grade 1 to 12 students can benefit from this initiative, but for higher education too. There are a number of parts of the country where the television channel is not accessible. So recently, government of Pakistan asked us to launch the radio television, though we have FM radio for our students, but this radio television will be now for whole Pakistan. And all the universities, 200 plus universities, having consultation with Allama Iqbal Open University. We offer our all resources, included our learning management system to them. We are providing training to the teachers, because most of the teachers in the former university, they are not used to, they are not oriented with the LMS. Also, the students are not oriented with this system. So in the beginning, first 2 months, they were high and cry in the universities, in the schools. Now they are going to settle. And we are thankful to all the partners, including Commonwealth of Learning. They're providing the training platform to our faculty members. Though our faculties, more than 70%, they are trained by San Jose State University for Commonwealth of Learning. Recently, we have a good opportunity to launch our e-tutor training toolkit with the UK Open University, funded by Allama Iqbal Open University. So there are a number of good initiatives in this pandemic within 3 months.
Majid. I think it's very elaborate thing that is happening. Thank you for sharing with our audience today. I will take some other people who have raised hand, and I would request everyone, if you have specific question to one of our panelists, you can raise that, or if you have a comment, please try to be brief as possible, so that we all learn and get an opportunity to share our experiences. I'll give the access to Muhammad Saiduddin. Muhammad Saiduddin, please. If you are not ready, can I request Ebner Malcolm?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good morning. This is early morning here in Ghana, West Africa. I'm an instructional designer and technologist, and I'm gonna give you briefly what has happened in Ghana after the lockdown. The president ordered that all universities should present via online. And unfortunately, many tutors, many lecturers have not been trained on the LMS system or how to even deliver online. So this has become a great challenge. Fortunately for some of us, I'm from Ghana Technology University College, and we have started what we call blended learning, where we actually deliver through face-to-face and also through our learning management system. We modify Moodle, and we've been using Moodle. So we blended it with Zoom and also Microsoft Teams. So we delivered via online, and we never had any challenges. The only challenges are where students cannot have access to technology, especially those in the rural areas. And what we did was that we used other platforms like Telegram, WhatsApp to reach these students globally. And some of them were also locked up in other parts of the world, because our university, is transnational. And that is the examples that I can give in Ghana. So we provided also capacity building for these lecturers later. And some universities also have to do that.
For that overview. Thank you very much. At this stage, I'll request Professor Mostafa to see if there are lots of questions for our panelists. So let's take those questions on the Q&A, or any significant comment that you have seen on the chat box.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjaya. So it was a very nice and engaging session indeed. So we have few questions in the question and answer box. So let us start with that. So one question is from Pravati Devi. She asked, does this technology integrated education create inequalities and gap between the advantage and disadvantages group, normal and special children, and techno-savvy and techno-tired people?
Anyone would like to take, colleagues? Dr. Jayashree, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it will, if we really plan systematically, it may help us to decrease the digital divide. Our special education faculty are really working hard towards using technology, digital and communication media for their special learners, and most importantly, at least special teachers, special educators can be trained and can come together and discuss several things by using technology. Radio and television, as our panelists are continuously discussing about it, and even Indian government and Indian institutions are trying hard to use television and radio for those who do not have access to internet and technology. So I think if we decide and if we are determined to reach to students and collaborate with each other, we can certainly help to decrease digital divide, because there are some other questions regarding, for example, Rajasthan. So there are some questions regarding remote areas where there is no internet access, but fortunately we have television and radio in such areas. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jayashree.
Another question is, so we can take our 2 or 3 together because the questions are a little bit similar. So should tech-enabled learning be a compulsory part of curricula as it is need of the hour, and learners should be privileged with the self-paced learning? So we can take another question together. So what about the leadership in this kind of initiatives? If the institutions, they want to adopt online more, so what kind of leadership? So whether it can be integrated into our curriculum, it should be mandatory or not. So what is that, and what about the leadership in that case?
Professor Ioana would be the right person to talk about that. She is a professor of computer education.
Okay, thank you. I think at this point in time, you really can't say make it compulsory at this point. I think it's good for us to explore and see, rather than say, it's compulsory. I think it's best that we, because if we're going to make it compulsory, you need to make sure that you have all the supporting resources to support it. So I think at this point, it really depends on where you are and the level of technology you have at your particular institution. I'm not quite sure whether I'm answering the question there.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. We'll take a question from, what is about is, I want to know if the info we share via online teaching is under copyright, or people can simply use it anytime. This is a question from University of Malaysia, Sabah. Professor Fong, would you like to respond? Anyone else would like to respond? I can, we can all respond. Professor Mostafa, you can talk about this yourself.
Okay, so yes. So regarding the teaching under copyright, actually, that's why the actually open educational resources is a blessing for us. So if we just care the open educational resources, because if you use the resources which are copyrighted, so it is a big challenge when you try to undertake the online education. So it is always better to find some open educational resources. You have a lot of repositories there, so you can do that. Even if you want to use any site or any document which is online, just use the link, because you cannot download it. It will be the violation of copyright. So above all, just look at the legal provision for that resource. So that is very important. So whatever you will share online, so try to take consideration about this kind of legal issues, because it's very important. It is going to the public sometimes.
And anything that you are sharing online is your copyright or your institutional copyright as such. If you want to share those things as OER, then it is available to anyone to make use of. It's not you are not lodging any copyright for that purpose. There is a question I would like both Dr. Abeka and Dr. Jayashree to respond. There is a question on how can we encourage more teachers, colleagues to adopt e-learning tools. Dr. Abeka first.
Thank you, Mishra. One of the ways to encourage teachers and even learners to embrace technology is by empowering them. You know, most of them they suffer from something called fear of unknown. The moment you empower them, the moment you train them, they'll find technology use very easy and very useful. And at that particular point, they will adopt technology. Second, it is always very important also to empower them. Like right now, there's a challenge, a global challenge when it comes to connectivity sometimes. For example, in our university, we partner with telecommunication companies, Safaricom, to provide highly subsidized internet bundles so that it can enable learners and also teachers to access materials online. So this is one area that if universities can provide or governments can provide, then automatically the use of technology will be embraced. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Jayashree, you want to add to that? And particularly, there is also another question which might be of interest is that, you know, how can we help the challenges faced by slow learners online?
Yeah, about slow learners, I think there was previous question that many special educators are already working on it. There are many institutions who are targeting special learners and developing some tools and devices for them. I'll come to these initiatives which motivate faculty. Our ministry has been functional in this area for quite a few years, and now there are many open educational resources being developed. Faculty training is going on in massive scale. We have faculty training institutions coming up, centers coming up, training and teaching learning centers coming up, funded by the ministry. Almost all teachers of India are now keen to get enrolled in such trainings and getting continuous training in various areas. And because of this pandemic, during the last 3 months, enormous faculty training has happened across the country. And one of the areas in which this training is happening is ICT and in higher education, or Swayam platform for Mooc is getting popular. If you talk about individual institutional levels, as many other universities in India, even our university, SNDT Women's University, leadership plays a role. Definitely it plays a role, because vice chancellors, pro vice chancellors are motivating more and more faculty training. We ourselves are continuously conducting faculty training. Apart from us, individual teachers are now into it. They are developing material. They are creating some small screencast videos how to use various ICT tools on themselves. And such videos are getting very popular in Indian social media. Social media is also being used by fine art. For example, music and fine art departments are using it. For example, our fine art museum, online museum is popular now. Music department has started its channel. So I think it is effect of ethos also, that, oh, somebody is doing, why not I? So what if I am music teacher? So what if I am physical education or fine art?
Yeah.
So
thank you very much for touching some of the points that were in the chat box already about social media use, and I'm very thankful for that. There are a couple of questions that have been asked. Professor Mostafa, I'm taking these questions about assessment. How can we do assessment online and things of that sort? So there are a couple of questions about what is a good way of doing examination online. I would request Professor Ioana and Professor Fong to respond. Professor Ioana first.
Thank you. For online examinations, we were able to use the quiz option of Moodle, and it worked very well. All we had to do is to make sure we give them enough time, because sometimes when the technology, when the connectivity is slow, sometimes it freezes. So you allow them enough time to, for the fact that it might freeze, then they have to go back. But we were able to test, say, like 400 students in one time. And after the first one or two, the whole thing worked really well. So we were able to do most of the examinations that way. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Professor Fong, your comments?
Yes. So with respect to assessment, let me touch on the final examination, for example. So we advise our lecturers to, because the students not able to sit in the examination hall, okay? So we advise them to convert the final exam questions, okay, to convert them to using only course assessment projects, okay. Other than that, for those who insist that they want to have a final exam, we make use of our Moodle learning management system to conduct the examination. Yes.
Yeah, there is a question I would like you, Professor Fong, to also respond, and I'll come to Dr. Janet next on the same question, is about the role of leadership in this kind of situation. How do you see the role of leadership on technology-enabled learning implementation?
Okay, so with respect to this, for example, in UMS, we find that in this emergency state, many people actually are anxious. What can I do? My students are not having a good connectivity, bandwidth is low. So what can we do? What can we do? So we created in UMS a virtual community of practitioners website, okay, especially for this. Yes, we need experts to come and share how to. There were a lot of webinars on how to throughout Malaysia. But we feel that the actual practices by our academic staff were crucial. So some of them somehow were able to use the Telegram and the WhatsApp, and the Google form to conduct even interactive kind of reach out to the students. So we collected this sharing, and then we classify them, categorize under faculties, and for the faculty to look at, to benchmark, to be inspired, to be motivated, and also for one another to learn from one another. So we find that mutual sharing, mutual learning is crucial at this point in time. Maybe afterwards, I will share the link to all of you. It is still in development. Please view it and give your constructive comments on how we could improve further. For this, I'd like to thank Professor Mostafa, because I did inquire from him how in the beginning we go about building it. So thank you, Professor Mostafa.
Please share the link in the chat box, Professor.
Yes, I'll put it there. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Janet, your comments about leadership, because I know that UPNG has gone through a leadership change, and what kind of support you got, and how do you see the role of leadership in this kind of situation?
Okay, the role of leadership is very critical. Like you said, UPNG had gone through so much. I think for those of us who are taking the lead, it's open communication and communication that cuts across to promote the agenda. What I saw when we advocated and we were able to cut through schools and faculties to get them on board to embracing technology is the fact that people must realize that this is a mainstream. Technology or ICT is becoming a mainstream, but blended with what we already have. Now, I also see that the approach of a grassroots level approach from bottom up and top down, meeting in the middle, is very important, because when you have advocates at the bottom trying to pursue something for a common good, and the management on top coming down to meet us, I think there must be consensus and understanding that this is all for a common good. One thing also that I would like to say here is that when we embrace the academic and the non-academic, like the ICT team. Our ICT team were a little bit way behind, but we were able to get them in, and we placed them rightfully where they are, like in terms of liaising with stakeholders. One thing that has come out from our TEL initiative is talking to the what do you call it, the mobile companies. Now Telecom has given us SIMs that if students want to log on to our Moodle on our main campus and at our medical school, when they have that SIM from that certain company, it is free. So students and academics can access that free. So I think it's this idea of communication. The agenda is transparently understood, and we are all speaking the same language. It's tough, but we're getting there.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Professor Mostafa, at this stage, we are almost consumed the time. I think we will extend a couple of minutes with the permission of everyone. If you have seen any critical comments or anything else that you just want to reflect, Professor Mostafa, then what I will do, I will request each one of the panelists today to share 1 or 2 points quickly about what will be the new normal in their personal view in going ahead, and particularly what they would like to see as that from Commonwealth of Learning that we should be doing to suggest and assist more to our partner institutions. So Professor Mostafa, quickly.
Yeah, so if you look at the questions, and most of the things are centered around few issues like assessment and some other leadership, etc. So one big question what I face even in Bangladesh when we discuss at a national level. So the thing is it a substitute for face-to-face system? Because face-to-face system cannot be run, and the people don't like to accept it also. So the big question is what I like to say, maybe it can be helpful for you too, is what is the fundamental truth of education? If the fundamental truth is learning, and even if you move a little bit further, if you think of the 21st century skills, so it is learning how to learn. If that is the fundamental truth, if we scale up from there, then this debate is useless, because the face-to-face system may not be suitable in most of the cases to ensure this the skills which we call 21st century skills, or the learning how to learn. So that's why I think when this kind of debates are going on, everywhere you will face this kind of debates. So maybe we can emphasize on the fundamental truth that we want to ensure the learning. Doesn't matter whether it is a face-to-face or online. So in that sense, I think what TEL, Technology Enabled Learning Initiative from Commonwealth of Learning started, that is getting a biggest impact now. And you are, I mean, all the partners, especially since I was attached to you, we are the leaders, because we were used to these things. So we didn't feel any discomfort. And other people, they are trying to adjust. Respond. We were prepared. Now we don't need to respond. We are just using this thing to maximize the benefit. And the new people, we have to mainstream it, because the new people, they are responding. Responding is very difficult. In a critical situation, they are responding. So we have to help them to understand a little bit bigger. So that's kind of what the discussion came in, is the top down, then the policy should be there. Some of our partners, they got the policy, and the bottom up should be there, and the inside out, so the change management system should be there. So kind of sort of mainstreaming should be there. If the mainstreaming doesn't happen, this fear will not go away very soon. So thank you very much for giving me the floor.
We'll quickly go to all our 5 panelists. So quick 1 minute take. I'll start with Dr. Jayashree.
Yeah, I would like to say that ICT is not for replacing teachers, but to enhance abilities of teachers and students. So this is for enhancing creative learning, co-creation, collaboration among learners, to enhance analytical and thinking abilities of learners, making learners ready for 21st century. And learner-centered pedagogies need to be the future hereafter, post-COVID, instead of focus on one-way traffic, one-way videos, one-way lecturing. So we need to increase and use ICTs for more and more collaboration among learners instead of thinking that technology is replacing us. I think that is my opinion and comments. Thank you very much.
Dr. Abeka, next.
Thank you, Mishra. It is true that technology has taken the entire world with a storm, and all sectors, including education sector, is taken by storm. And therefore, it is high time for everyone to embrace the use of technology. They should not fear anything to do with technology. Technology is an enabler and will help them access quality teaching and learning materials. Then one area that I would like Commonwealth of Learning to continue doing is to empower the partner universities, especially through giving us a lot of training, because it is through training that will make learners and also even instructors to be very comfortable with the use of technology. I also want to echo some of the sentiments that have been raised by my colleagues, that organization support is very important. So long as the top management is supporting an implementation of technology-enabled learning, then automatically all members will embrace that particular technology. Then finally, the governments. So long as the governments are supporting this approach, chances are very high that it will be embraced by everyone. I'm happy that the government of Kenya, when we realized that there was issues to do with the internet connectivity challenges, they partnered with Google to launch Google Loons. These Google Loons that flies all over those areas that are far-fetched, that could not be connected through internet. I'm happy that the government took a leading center stage into this, and I'm happy that as we are talking right now, most of the universities, including even the secondary schools, have adopted the use of technology when it comes to teaching and learning. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good point. Dr. Janet, your comments?
Yes, thank you, Commonwealth of Learning, first of all, for the initiative. And I think the way forward for us now is that we need to build our capacity. We need to take ownership of what is there before us. I totally agree that ICT doesn't replace the usual teaching and learning, but I think we should be fostering the 21st century in helping our learners and academics in learning how to learn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Ioana?
Thank you, Sanjay. I think the way forward and where Carl can still provide help, I think it would be good if you could still provide the shared solutions that you've done so far, ongoing support in the form of professional advice, professional development, training opportunities, sharing of your OERs, expert assistance in areas, for example, Carl has helped us in online competency-based assessments. These things are crucial for us. And I think the other area that I'd like to thank Carl for is in terms of policy development, Sanjaya. I think we were fortunate to have, because I think this is an area we have not touched in this webinar, is policy, and because it leads to further planning. And you'll be happy to know that as part of that call, one of the call courses, that we have used it to update our implementation plan for TEL. We have the TEL policy, but to update the implementation plan, we've used that training to update the plan. So this is what's happening this week. So thank you. Yeah.
Professor Fong?
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjaya, Professor Mostafa, and fellow colleagues. Whatever practices we have been successful in previously have all been disrupted. And now our landscape is a new landscape, a new norm, and many of us are facing common constraints, common problems, common difficulties, and some of us have been successful actually in overcoming them from what I can hear from the experiences. So it is time, Professor Mostafa, that the TAL community of practitioners, TAL COP, be revived, be revitalized, okay? And may all of us continue to share and mutually support one another forward. So may TAL COP be more aggressive, Professor Mostafa. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, Professor Fong, I think you touched on what I wanted to tell at the end, because we have the TEL Community of Practice platform. In each of your institutions, you can promote that and have ongoing debate and discussion, which are private to your people only. We have that platform in place, which will help your teachers to build that community of practice within the institutions while being part of a TEL community of practice, which is beyond. But I would also like to thank Dr. Ioana for reminding about the policy. And this is what the Commonwealth of Learning's technology-enabled learning initiatives best, is that there is a triangle of policy, capacity building, and appropriate technology. These are the three things that if you have prepared with your policy, if you have appropriate capacity building like that is happening in JUST, they have more than 475 teachers who are being trained right now. At SNDT, they have trained over 800 teachers from all over the country using their own expertise locally. So those capacity building is important, having policy important. All of your institutions have policies in place. That's one of the things is satisfying thing, that you have policies in place in all the institutions that your panelists come from. Capacity building has been ongoing, and also you have build internal capacity to adapt technology appropriately. So those are the successful things that has helped to respond to this COVID situation, as far as I understand. And we are happy that we have been part of that process and contributed in some way in facilitating resilience of your institutions. But it's up to you that you have done. My hats up to all of you that you have steered this development in your institutions. You are the champion for us. And at this stage, I would like to announce that we are currently going on the technology-enabled learning Mooc that started on 22nd of June. So you can join that Mooc. We are also going to start another new Mooc called Blended Learning Mooc, which has happened before, but it will start again in July. So you can take advantage of all these online programs that are being offered at Commonwealth of Learning. We have some other platforms like Commonwealth Digital Education Leadership Platform, and we have OER course that you can all take advantage. At this stage, we have to close this session. We have exceeded the time for about 10 minutes. We have not been able to take all the questions. We have tried to cover some of the comments and questions, and some of the panelists have responded to most of these questions, but our apologies to colleagues who have not been given opportunity to speak despite they have raised hands. There will be other time we can talk more. Maybe we can expand the sessions a little more in future, but at this stage, I would first like to thank all the participants for joining in large number. I hope this experience sharing session was useful to you as part of the TEL community of practice, and you will take some of the lessons that our panelists share today. And thanks to all my panelists today, my colleagues and TEL community of practice for sharing their time and their experience and expertise on what they have been doing and what they have learned and in this session. And thanks also to Professor Mostafa for taking the pain to coordinate this session. So thank you everyone at this stage.
Thank you.